For years now, we've all been calling out video game journalists and how pathetic they truly are. They will trash absolutely phenomenal games when they are not made by AAA companies. And when AAA companies put out titles that gamers don't like, they will defend them tooth and nail. And the recent Ark Raiders Eurogamer controversy truly highlights so many of the problems that we've been complaining about. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, over the past couple of months, we have seen some absolutely phenomenal indie and AA games release. Escape from Duckov, Hollow Knight Silksong, Ark Raiders. These are all games that have done great, that people absolutely love, but games that, yes, the access media has either tried to ignore, like Duckov, they aren't reviewing it, or they have put out reviews that in some cases are definitely not the way that gamers feel, and they're getting wrecked for them, like this one with Ark Raiders. And I wanted to highlight this because it's so funny to see, first of all, how much backlash they truly are facing, but second of all, how wild how they claim it is to say a game is bad because you don't like that the developers have used something as simple as AI voice acting, even though they've paid real voice actors on this project, because you are desperate to find something to complain about. You couldn't actually complain about the gameplay itself, whether that's the guns or the items or the gameplay loop or the maps or something like that. Instead, you have to stretch to, oh, well, I kind of don't like AI, so that's going to be the reason why I give this game 2 stars out of 5 when we previously gave something like Concord 3 stars out of 5. So starting off with this post, it does have screenshots of the Eurogamer post where they had said, they gave it a 2 out of 5 because it's impossible to ignore the AI for Ark Raiders to ride the wave of human social ability all the way to the bank while also being so contemptuous of the thing that makes us social animals in its own workflow demonstrates a lack of artistic integrity that I find impossible to ignore, and that the AI voice generation is a black mark against its reputation, even though this is the type of game that most people are just going to skip through the cutscenes of and the dialogue of, and they just want to get into the game and play. But Legacy Killa had said this will definitely be talked about. Eurogamer just tanked Ark Raiders review score. On OpenCritic, it was at one point a 94 out of 100, one of the best reviewed multiplayer games ever, and it's now fallen down to 88 out of 100, in large part thanks to Eurogamer's 4 out of 10 score, which is wild. And listen, I'm not saying Ark Raiders is the best game ever. I definitely have some criticisms of it. Don't get me wrong, but it is still very fun, and it does still deserve a high score. And luckily, most gamers at this point do not take the access media seriously, but it's important that we still sit here and call out their bullshit, or else they're going to be allowed to run rampant in this industry and run wild in this industry. Again, the only reason why they are partially relevant still is because of their access, and that's the only thing that truly makes them the access media at this point. Nobody's going to them for professional insights. Nobody's going to them for legitimate information or really game guides anymore. Most people are looking to YouTube or Twitch, though. It's situations like this that just prove to you that yes, you are correct in not trusting these types of individuals. Now, they recently actually posted about how over the weekend they had reached over 700,000 concurrent raiders on the surface, which is great, but we also know that in 11 days, it has sold 4 million copies, which I think is phenomenal. Again, it's a really solid experience, but because titles like Ark Raiders and Duckov are doing so great, that means that AAA corporate slop is losing, which is so hilarious to see because these journos will sit and praise games like Concord. Again, Eurogamer gave Concord 3 out of 5 stars, but yet they're saying Ark Raiders is only a 2 out of 5. crazy to see this happen, though they'll sit there and they will praise those games because they're coming from larger companies that they need to stick around and be alive still in order to keep their access, but they will ignore indie titles or trash them. So let's take a peek at Outer Worlds 2. Just came out a couple of days ago. All-time peak on Steam was 18,251, which is already extremely bad, but it's already down to 6,711 players in game. And yes, this is a single player title, so once people complete the main campaign, they're probably not going to come back to it unless they decide to do some sort of replay or there's DLC. Though the fact that it didn't have a great all-time peak in general is really fucking terrible. They haven't announced any sort of sales figures, probably because they're really bad. And then we have Borderlands 4. Its all-time peak was actually very good at 304,398. It has already tanked. Players in game right now, 12,762. Everybody's already forgotten about this title, but they actually recently admitted that the sales were soft, meaning they are not happy with anything, really, which is a big problem. Though, it's another title that was supposed to be really big for Gearbox. It was supposed to be a major win, and yeah, it clearly isn't. And if we look at a game that released last year, Dragon Age the Veilguard, you already know this was such a major disaster. 89,418 all-time peak. It underperformed. Everybody basically hated it. It died only a couple of weeks after release, and well, they have completely dropped this game. We're probably never going to get another Dragon Age title, which is a little bit heartbreaking. Though, let's look at some indie games that have launched over the past couple of months. Hollow Knight Silksong game everybody was extremely excited for, 587,150 all-time peak, and this actually broke storefronts because there were so many people trying to buy it upfront initially, and yeah, it's down to 28,148 players. But keep in mind, when we're talking about indie versus AAA games have budgets of like 100, 200, 300 million dollars versus something like Silksong, which we don't know this full number, but it was estimated to be about 20 to 25 million on the extremely high end because the main team of developers was only 3 guys. Yes, they did outsource for a bunch of different things. They had to get music made and things like that, though for the most part, we are talking about very small budgets here. Ark Raiders, we don't have an exact estimate of what the budget is. I would go out on a limb and say it was probably like $30 million, judging by the quality and how many names, yes, are also in the credits, though we have no confirmation of that. It could be significantly higher than that. I don't know. Though the all-time peak only 2 days ago was 462,488, and these are all just the Steam numbers. In-game right now is 358,071, and the lowest number that we have seen is 129,000. Besides that, these numbers have been absolutely consistent, and even the other drops were not quite that. I mean, 140, 145, so that has definitely held so far. Escape from Duckov, another indie game that people absolutely love now, 301,322 all-time peak. In-game right now, 32,380, and Megabonk. In-game right now, 31,000, but the all-time peak was 117,336. Imagine being BioWare, an absolutely legendary studio in the video game industry. You're supposed to be a behemoth. You just put $150 million into developing a game for 10 years. People are supposed to be hyped for your title, and a duck game beats you. Or a game where you're running around as a little bug beats you. Or your title is being beat by a, I believe, solo developer. Like, I would feel pretty bad about my life if I worked for a legendary studio and this was happening. And even look at the Outer Worlds 2 Obsidian we're talking about. The best they can muster is 18,251 on Steam. That is abysmal, and this is why the Access Media is putting out hit pieces on games like Ark Raiders. It's why they're refusing to review games like Mega Bonk and Escape from Tarkov, because they know with every major indie win we see, it's one step closer to the AAA companies within the video game industry going under, because they are not creating experiences that people are sticking around for. They are not creating the highest quality experiences anymore. And a lot of their games are, yes, complete and utter failures. So there's a reason why Eurogamer is getting absolutely wrecked right now. And I love to see it. I love to see them proving gamers right yet again that we should not trust them. And I absolutely love to see indie games thriving. Silksong was phenomenal. Raiders is fantastic. Escape from Tarkov is so cute and so fun. And while I haven't played Mega Bonk myself, I've seen quite a lot of it and it looks fun as hell too. Whereas Borderlands 4 was really boring. The Outer Worlds 2, I didn't play it, but seemed really mid. You have Dragon Age of Valgard, which was horrendous. And there's just a very big difference in not only the reception to these games and the levels of successes of these games, but really just the entertainment value. And boy, oh boy, are indie and AA devs doing something absolutely phenomenal right now, whereas AAA devs are failing. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, and make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.